Legend of Zelda's Echoes of Wisdom, the debut game for the one and only Zelda. I have beaten the game and I liked it and the video. No, there are a lot of things I want to talk about this game because I'm both satisfied with the result and at the same time, I just know that it could have been way more, especially for the debut of Zelda as a playable character. Let's talk about the good things first. The echo mechanics. The echo mechanics are the way that you can sort of interact with the world. You can attack other monsters, how you can solve puzzles, a bunch of different echoes you can bring up during your gameplay to help you navigate the world, reverse the world, fight your way through enemy hordes, etc. etc. And it's a great mechanic. I really do like it. I think it's a very nice way to kind of spice up the formulaic design of a lot of 2D Zelda. It was fun trying to strategize how to attack an enemy camp or attack a boss, a dungeon boss, or even traverse to a certain location in the map. You know, the echoes give you so much liberty to attack those problems that it makes the game feel fresh and new. The echo mechanics are great. They're really fun to use, and they're actually, it's kind of like discovery in a sense. You don't know how you're going to be able to use this newly acquired echo, but when you actually find the niche or the niche problem that it can solve, it opens up a lot of ideas in your head. So it really forces the player to really think about the ways they want to tackle a certain problem within the game, solve a puzzle, traverse to a certain area, kill a certain enemy. It just makes everything, it makes you stop and think a little bit more about what you want to use in terms of echoes. There's no one way to get around the world because of the echoes. You know, you can summon bed echoes and just use them as stairs to get above a tree line, and then you can walk across the tree line into a forest or into a new village or whatever that may be, or to like a mountaintop village. It makes everything way easier to navigate in comparison to other 2D Zeldas. You know, 2D Zeldas, they're very not necessarily linear, but they are pretty, there's pathways that you can take to get to those places. There's no game breaking ways for you to get to a certain place. You're stuck to the paths, you're stuck to the already, the creator roads that the game built, the world has built for you. And there's no way around it. In Echoes of Wisdom, you can create stairs out of blocks of water. You know, the sky is the limit. So that makes it very fun. It makes it a more fun game, something that really puts your gears in go mode. It really makes you think how you want to reach certain parts. And it also helps to, like, I found it really fun and exciting that there was no one way to do things. You can use beds as stairs, you can use the water blocks to swim up a ledge or something. There was always a different way for you to navigate the world, and that made this game way more engaging in a sense. And again, that also plays into the whole discovery aspect that's been so prevalent in a lot of Zelda games. Nintendo's goal with Zelda games has always been about discovery, has always been about adventure, and this game, in its essence and in its foundation, does a good job at communicating that and explaining that. There are also the charming elements of the game. This is it's pretty much the same art style as the Link's Awakening remake that we got back in 2019 for the Switch. And I'm not gonna lie, it's really cute. I like it a lot. I like the characters. Some of the new characters. Try is my favorite. That's a cute character. Their whole storyline and their character development is really, really endearing, really charming. The story, the music, it's all just a very classic Zelda game, but with some very, very charming elements. Zelda is both fierce and cute as a character, which I think kind of really does explain or translate what Zelda is all about. She's a very fierce person. She has to be a leader, but she's still, a princess. She still kind of like doesn't lose the feminine side of her, or the more delicate side to her. Not saying delicate as a negative, more so sort of elegance, I want to say, about the Zelda character. So the way that they portrayed her in this game was really, really well done, and I appreciate that. It's very charming. The dungeon design for the most part was okay. Dungeons felt a little bit more secluded to what the whole game was as a whole, you know, the open world. There were more so corridors that you had to sort of take, not very open to interpretation or how you could tackle these things, which wasn't in essence terrible because dungeons are, in my opinion, the best part about Zelda games. You know, the puzzle solving, the dungeon crawling, the finding the keys to get to the next step, etc., etc. That's what really entices me about Zelda games, puzzle solving and all that stuff. So the dungeons for the most part did a really good job at, you know, still keeping that same formula that we've seen throughout the history of 2D Zelda. Now, you know, I'm not seeing everything with rose tinted glasses. I still think that this game could have been way better than it already is, especially because this is Zelda's debut game. This is the first game that you can play as Zelda in a mainline Zelda game. So I think they could have done her a little bit more justice. They portrayed her in a great way. They really communicated who she was in a very charming way. But I still think that the art style took away a lot about just how important this game really is. Don't get me wrong, the art style is really nice, really cute. It looks amazing on the Switch. It's just very high fidelity, very, very nice. I like the toy aesthetic, the chibi style. The depth of field makes everything look very toy-like, and I like that. It's a very creative art style, but this is a debut game for the character whose name has been part of the series since its inception. You know, it felt like a spin-off game just because of how important this game was meant to be. I kind of wish they would have switched it up a little bit, make this game a little bit more memorable, and not make it a one-to-one copy of the art style of Link's Awakening. It kind of defeats the purpose of giving Zelda their own game because it felt just like the DLC or an expansion to Link's Awakening, the remake, and it just never sat well with me. This is Zelda we're talking about. This is the main character of the series that we're talking about, and they're playable finally. Give us something more. Give us something unique, something that we can look back and say, wow, they really put all their effort into giving the biggest female role, the biggest female lead in the series, their own game. It felt flat, in my opinion, and the art style had to do a lot with it. Besides that, even though I do appreciate the new mechanics as well, I feel that having Echoes do all the fighting at times felt like a cheat code and made this game more of a dodging simulator than anything else. You're just summon 2 or 3 enemy Echoes or just fighter Echoes that can do the fighting for you, and all you gotta do is just dodge or just stay behind the line of your Echoes. And again, I know it's strategy. I know they also give you the tools to fight the enemies more directly with Link's abilities, but it just felt like I was just waiting. A lot of these battles, I felt like I was just waiting and letting my Echoes do all of the fighting. I was basically taken out of the equation. I was only summoning Echoes anytime they died. I was only dodging the enemy's attacks, and that was it. Not much depth to the battle mechanics when it comes to this game, and that was very disappointing because in games like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, they give you so many tools for you to attack these enemies directly that it kind of feels that they also this paints Zelda as a rather helpless character, you know, where she just tells her minions what to do the dirty work for her, when I know that Zelda isn't that type of person. She's a very independent, very fierce character that I kind of wish they relied a little bit more, or at least given Zelda magic abilities. Magic in a sense where she can cast spells and attack the enemies directly and not just depend solely on the Echoes. The Echoes are fine as support elements of the game, but making it the the main way that you fight enemies, kind of defeats the purpose of trying to give Zelda their own game and make it seem as if she's, this very badass character who can do everything just as well as Link does. I don't know. And again, if you really want to dumb it down and simplify things, just give her a sword. Don't make it so you have to use magic to turn into Link to be able to use his weapons. Why can't she just hold a sword? Why can't she just hold a staff? Why can't she just hold a bow? She's a human after all, Well, she's a Hylian. I'm sorry. But again, it just takes away a lot from this being Zelda's debut game and making her seem as a legit character. I don't know. Downplays her importance in her own game a little bit. And again, this is more a issue that I have with most Zelda games. The story felt rather dull after a while and not very memorable. Good versus evil. Evil's trying to take over good. Evil's trying to take over the world. Noel is consuming everything around because they just have this insatiable thirst to consume everything. It's whatever. Didn't feel any type of way against the main enemy because it's just a blob. This whole time we're chasing this evil Zelda, this evil Link, but there's no face to that evil. There's no Ganondorf. There's no Bati. There's no person for me to dislike or hate. It's just a blob. It's just a concept. It's just a celestial thing. It's boring. I'm sorry. I want to hate someone, humanoid, at least, or a creature or a bipedal creature, something that I can put a face to. This just felt very blah, and a lot of it just felt very like I'm just going through the motions. I'm just trying to get through the game because I do not care about this enemy. I'm not motivated enough to defeat the enemy, but let me just get it over with. I kind of felt that the design of the boss, the enemy, the main issue in the game, very, very basic. Let's talk about the very, very bad things about this game. The ugly, the things that I just don't think are acceptable for a Nintendo first party game. And most of them have to be technical things. The frame drops are very, very common, very consistent. They happen all the time. It always felt like the game was struggling to be played on the current Switch hardware, and I kind of wish they waited for Switch 2. I would have felt a little bit more positive about this game if it was a day one release with the Switch 2 or whatever it's going to be called, whatever the successor of the Switch is going to be called, because one of all, you're already giving us a mainline Zelda game with the new console. Second of all, it's going to play better. Frames were very inconsistent. And again, maybe this game's original plan was to be released with the Switch 2, and I hope that's the case, because I just don't feel that at this point in time, 2024, almost 2025, where frame drops are still something that should be acceptable, when especially you're creating games exclusive for only one platform. It shouldn't be happening. It should not be happening. Not saying that there's not going to be cases like that, but I'm saying if this is a first line Nintendo game, why is it not working perfectly? I wouldn't even have been upset if the whole game was a consistent 30 frames per second. But doing this, both things, trying to appeal to the technical people with 60 FPS, knowing that you can't consistently hit that, doesn't make any sense to me. It makes the game look worse. It overpromises and it under delivers, and I don't want this to become a thing for games like Mario, games, franchises like Zelda, franchises like Metroid, franchises that actually have the money, franchises that have the money and the budgets for these things to not happen. Nintendo owned IPs 100% should not be having these issues when the game is designed for just one console. You're not porting it over to PlayStation. You're not porting it over to PC. There's less variables for you to mess up and for you to deliver a consistent experience. Don't like it. This is the first time I've been really upset about just how many frame drops there are in this game. Another thing, adding Link's abilities to Zelda's roster defeats the purpose of having echoes at all. I know I'm contradicting myself here a little bit, but it kind of just felt like if you're gonna make echoes a huge part of the game, don't give me the option to also use a sword. Do either one or the other one. This is why I said they should have given Zelda her own abilities, such as magic. She has the staff. Why can't she throw an energy bomb or a plasma bomb, whatever you want to call it, some elemental attacks directly at the enemies and use the echoes as support things, support characters? Why give us the classic sword, classic shield, the classic bow, the classic attacks that Link has when you're trying to differentiate Link and Zelda as being two different characters, two different things, two different types of game plays? Having Link as an aid, someone who's helping you out in the final battle against Null, felt like a cheat code. It made the whole dodging simulator argument way stronger, because I did not do a single thing in that whole fight against the final boss. I did not do a single thing. I summoned two of my strongest echoes, let them just wail against the enemy, and all I did was dodge attacks for that whole sequence. Lasted like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I did not do a single thing. I was bored with the final boss. I was already not excited about about Null's story. I wasn't excited about Null as a thing, as a character, as whatever you want to call it. It's not really a thing. It's just a blob. It's just nothingness. It's a void. And then the fighting is already rather boring. I don't know. The game started out really charming and I was very excited to play it, but by the end, I was happier that the game was over. I did not go back to replay it. I did not go back to finish any side quest I had. I was just done with the game. And that, I feel, makes the game worse than people give it credit for. I'm still a huge Zelda fan. In conclusion, like, I'm always gonna love Zelda games. I'm always gonna be a day one purchaser, because more often than not, Zelda games turn out to be amazing experiences. Very fun experiences, except Skyward Sword. Don't talk to me about that game. Yes, they can be formulaic, they can be repetitive at times, but they always deliver. They always deliver with a good, rather basic story, but still like good motivator for you to finish the game. Story is always enticing, always very lore heavy. It wasn't always the case, but still. So I'm always going to be a huge fan of Zelda, but I'm just very disappointed with the way that Nintendo decided to roll out and give Zelda their own first game. Felt like a little bit of a slap to the face to the person whose name is in the title of every single game in the series. Felt like this was just a spin-off game. It didn't feel like this huge, momentous experience, very iconic experience in the Legend of Zelda history, and I'm sad. I'm sad about that. I'm sad, I'm disappointed, and I wish there was just a little bit more. Still, I'm not gonna deny, if you don't care about everything that I do as a huge Zelda fan, because I understand not everyone cares about the lore, not everyone cares about the history of whatever. Nobody cares about just how impactful it is that Zelda is finally a playable character in the mainline Zelda game. I know not everyone's gonna care about that. It's still an okay game. It's a fun game. It's a decent game. You're gonna have fun all 18 hours or whatever it took me to beat the game. It's still a good game. It's not a bad game by any means. There was just, they missed the mark by just, I want to say, like at least 800 meters. They started the race, but they didn't finish it. And I'll leave you with that. Folks, I've been True Fernie. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs down, because believe it or not, every single bit helps. Links to my socials are down below. Please make sure to follow me on Threads, Blue Sky, whatever it is that you use nowadays, at True Fernie, because that's where I spend most of my waking hours, talking about gaming, talking about sports, talking about anything and everything that might interest you as my viewer. But folks, please take care of each other. Most importantly, take care of yourself. Don't let yourself down, just like Nintendo let me down with Echoes of Wisdom. I know. All right, peace.